Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax while we chat about what is happening in the stars above this weekend. If you can believe it, it's already Friday or Fry-yay. Yay! It's been a weird week for me, and I am really happy that it is going to be the weekend where I don't have to necessarily worry about anything to do with work or anything to do with anything, really. So I hope you're all looking forward to the weekend as well. Good morning to those of you who are checking in. I saw my husband out there, Terry. Good morning to you, Julie and Tom. Hello to you and anyone else who's in behind the scenes that I don't see at this particular moment. So today we're going to take a look through Pisces as we did on Monday. We went through the sign of Pisces and the sun's moved into Pisces and how that affected our astrology. So I had you bring your astrology charts to the show. This morning, I wanted you to bring your human design charts because now we're going to take a look at Pisces energy through human design. And on top of that, it seems, it looks, and you'll see it, it's pretty graphic, that all of the most of the gates in human design in the sign of Pisces are all on the solar plexus, which is the center for emotional awareness, for creativity, and a kind of intuition that is based on feeling instead of gut instinct. And then we'll take a look at the different way it shows up, the way Piscean energy shows up in those different gates. And then we'll switch over to Mars. And on Sunday, Mars turns back to direct motion. And it's been 11 weeks of Mars in retrograde, so nearly since December 26th, I believe, or no, since December 6th. So what is that? Actually, it's been a long time, 60 days or so of this kind of energy. So we're, I'm sure, all looking forward to getting some more momentum going. And I want to talk about how that looks for us, what gate in your human design that Mars is in, because he's in the gate of starting things. And right now, we might feel like our engines want to roll, but they really can't until he changes direction and starts moving that starting things energy outward from him. And then I'm also going to take you through a look at how the Mars retrograde or Mars direct is going to impact you based on the house of your astrology chart that Mars is in terms of Cancer, the sign he will turn back to direct in, and Leo when he moves forward far enough to get into the sign he started his retrograde at. So we have a lot to talk about today. I hope everybody is ready. Let's see who else has joined us here. Kamal, good to have you with us. Nicole Markham, good to see you. And Amanda J, nice to have you with us too. And Kamal, can I get a card reading today? We'll see if I have enough time toward the end of the broadcast. And I know you're feeling stuck. I don't know why. Yep, I know why. Mars. We're all kind of in this stasis at the moment, trying to, wait out the imagining phase, the introspective phase of Mars. And Mars will change direction. And when he does, we pick up speed, right? We start to pick up speed and start to move forward. Good morning, Patty and TJ joining us this morning. I am hopefully coming in clear for you where you are. And oh, let's see, anything else out there? Okay, let's dive in, shall we? So again, if you have your human design chart with you, it would be a really good thing because then you can follow along. And I'm actually going to share my screen because it is the graphic that I want you to see as far as how many gates are on the solar plexus for the Pisces season. So one moment while I get my presentation screen up and I can show you that. Here we go. Ah, all right. So you all should be seeing a human design chart in front of you. And what I've highlighted here is all of the gates that the sun will be highlighting, in a series through the sign of Pisces. And the reason I'm doing that is because there are other planets besides the sun that are in Pisces already, right? Saturn, the North Node, Neptune, and we need to, and Mercury. Don't forget little Mercury, and we need to understand, where is this lighting up our human design or our energy fields? Okay, so each of the Pisces human design gates carries a unique sort of energetic theme, just like, every sign has its own energetic theme. And it influences how we experience the world during the transit of the sun in Pisces or any planet through Pisces. So the first gate, now this has already happened on February 18th. The sun, as it moved into Pisces, was still in a gate 30. And the gate 30 is right here on the emotional center, right here at the point. And I mean, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gates of Pisces are on the emotional solar plexus. Now, if you have an open solar plexus, this is adding a whole lot of energy for you to experience emotion. And if you have a defined emotional center, it is layering the energy of the gate, of the different gates and the different planets in your experience. So it's important to pay attention to this because you might be experiencing different emotional sensations at this point that are different for you because you haven't really had this level of gates that are being impacted. So the theme in the gate 30, which we talked about last week because the sun was actually moving through this gate, is the gate of passion. And it's about desire and emotional intensity and sort of this burning ambition. It's the desire to move ahead or to get something or to be something. And it carries this intense and deeply emotional drive toward experiences that are going to bring meaning to your life and fulfillment to your life. So this energy kind of amplifies our longing for something greater or to be something greater, whether that's in our relationships or our careers or personal growth in literally any area of your life. But we could also dial that in a bit by noticing where Pisces is in your chart, right? Because that's going to tell you the area of your life by house where it is that this passion and desire is sort of ramping up. And the challenge is that emotions can feel overwhelming, especially if we don't have clarity on what we truly desire. And I can tell you, like in my experiences with clients, when I ask them, well, what do you want? That almost always, including in asking myself, we fall short of being able to name what it is that we truly want. We might say things, "Oh, we want to be happy," or "we want to have prosperity," or something like that, which are kind of vague. Of course, we want to be happy. Of course, we want prosperity, or we want to be abundant. But what more specific things are you passionate about? And so here's the challenge: getting clarity. And the whole thing about the solar plexus, which we're going to dive into a little bit more here after I finish going through the gates, is it is a center that asks the question about clarity. And getting clarity isn't something that is in the moment here in the center. It comes with time. So we always say clarity over time. Now, the gift of the gate 30 is that when we apply passion and wisdom, or when we align, let's say, with our passion and with wisdom, we magnetize opportunities that match our deep heart's desires, right? The calling that you have from inside of you, your passion. So it is so important for us to really understand passion and what it is that we love or who it is that we really want to be. So pay attention, even if it's past, right? This was on February 18th, granted, but even now, you could be paying attention to what excites you or what is it that frustrates you, because sometimes by contrast we can see what it is we don't want, which then can help us put the spin on what we do want. And really, it reveals to us where our soul is calling us to grow. So trust in your inner self, your inner voice, your wants and your desires, but also because the energy of the solar plexus flows in waves, that there are highs and there are lows in the emotional energy. And gate 30 teaches us that the emotional waves of high and low and all the points in between are a part of the journey of getting clarity about what it is that you truly desire. All right. Now, the next gate that the sun is in is the gate 55, one of my favorite gates, and the reason why I have my dragonfly. In that this gate is activated from February 19th, so from Wednesday of this week, all the way to the 23rd, so through Sunday. And the theme in this particular gate is emotional abundance and surrender to divine timing. This is a gate in the gene keys that is so very fascinating because in its shadow energy, it's victimization, it's victim energy. But in its gift and in its city, it's freedom, freedom from victimization, right? Freedom to be who you want to be, to do what you love, to be around the people that you want to be around. So, gate 55 is really about trusting that life is unfolding as it should, even when circumstances feel uncertain. And our whole world right now might seem uncertain, right? So, the energy in the gate 55 is pushing us to release control and to trust the flow of abundance, the flow of love, and the flow of opportunities, right? It almost says faith, right? That in a quantum human design, this is now called the gate of faith, and having faith that the world is working in your favor, that no matter what is happening, it's not against you. It's working on your behalf to bring you abundance. And all you need to have is faith that things are moving in the right direction. So the 55 is a powerful gate for shifting from scarcity and into abundance thinking, even though this is in the solar plexus. And I want you to notice that the idea of abundance doesn't live on the sacral center where it's about what we do. It lives on the solar plexus. So it's about what we feel and what we create from our feelings and how we orient ourselves in toward what it is that we desire, right? Not away from what we desire, but toward what we desire on an emotional level, right? And that we realize that we're always supported, that there's no one withholding, love, life, health, finances from you, right? It's all going on from your own level of faith, trust, and surrender. So the challenge in this particular gate for us while the sun's moving through this part is about doubt or fearing loss or clinging to old security patterns. Right? Issues around, say, abandonment or not getting enough, not being enough. It leads to the gate 39 on the other side. And when this channel is defined in someone's chart, it is also carrying a theme of enoughness, not being enough, not having enough, and whether that's food or love or connection or work or money, it is about enoughness. So the gift here is about true faith. True faith is knowing that what is meant for you will come in perfect time. There's no one holding it back from you, right? So it's a really fun gate if you think about that. Like if you could just relax and just say, I have full faith that everything that is for me is coming to me, and that everything that is happening around me is happening for me, then your life would be so less filled with anxiety and stress, right? So, the impact of this gate for all of us with the sun moving here would be about letting go of resistance and leaning into trust, trusting that something greater is unfolding in your life. So, you're shifting from fear to gratitude, maybe. And what you focus on then expands. That's a universal law, right? So if I'm focusing on what I don't have, that expands. If I'm focusing on all that I do have, that expands. So it's a great lesson for all of us to learn during this Piscean season. Now, the next gate will be from February 24th until March 1st, and this will be the gate 37, which is called the gate of peace. And the theme here is about emotional balance in relationship harmony and the need for belonging, right? The 37 connects to the 40 and it becomes the channel of I like it to be called the channel of family and community. In quantum human design, it's now called the channel of administration, which, there is that aspect of this, but it kind of defeats the purpose of this emotional closeness we feel in community. So, gate 37 is really about creating emotional peace within ourselves and with others in our lives, whether that's family or community. And it reminds us that connection and mutual support are essential, that everybody wants to belong, and that it is deeply community oriented energy, right? So that we feel that familial connection, even if it isn't with our blood relatives or our blood family. But the challenge in the 37 is struggling with feeling supported or feeling valued in our relationships, like feeling like we're an outsider or that we're the black sheep or that we don't fit. So the gift here would be about stepping into generosity, being a giver yourself, emotional maturity, seeing things from that more responsive view rather than reactive view, and then bringing peace to any conflicts that are arising in your life or within your relationships. So the impact here is about focusing on healing relationships and where can we offer understanding instead of judgment. Big deal, right? And then recognizing the power of giving and receiving in equal measure. I just had a conversation with one of my clients this week about that very thing. To give is to receive, and to receive is to give, right? It's like the number 8, right? Or the infinity symbol that is always, turning around on itself. So they're all a part of the same energy, just different sides of the spectrum. All right. Now then, interestingly, midway through the Pisces month, we end up with the sun jumping up here to the gate 63. So we move from the solar plexus up to the head center, which is kind of crazy making if you think about it. And this will occur from March 2nd to March 6th. And the theme in the gate 63 is all about questioning, about seeking truth and intellectual exploration. So we're moving out of the emotions for a bit and up into the head. And excuse me, the energy at the gate 63, which we call the gate of curiosity, by the way, it drives us to ask questions and to analyze and seek deeper understanding. And it's a brilliant time for researching, for learning, for seeing beyond surface level thinking, for tapping into possibilities, right? Seeing possibilities. The challenge is doubt and over questioning to the point of inaction, where we slow things down to such a point that we're not moving forward, right? That we can't, take a next step because we're so in doubt. Or we need to be more discerning, yes, but doubt is usually aimed inward. It's not ourselves that we're meant to doubt. It's more like we're meant to be more discerning about what we're hearing from other people or what we see happening in our outer lives or about the truth, right? The truth or the not truth of things such as they are. The gift in this particular gate, the gate 63 up here, is about true wisdom and asking the right questions and embracing uncertainty as a part of growth. We don't always know, right? We don't always know. We can't always see why things are happening the way they're happening. So the challenge here is about the impact here is about our challenging the assumptions that we live through, that the assumption of our skills or the assumption of what's right for us or the assumption of how the world works or what it looks like out there in the world, because new insights are waiting to be discovered as the sun moves through and starts to penetrate the mind here in this particular gate. So we need to balance skepticism with openness, right? Some answers come from experience, the experiential or experimental parts of our lives, and others come from the heart and the emotional energy, and not just from logic, right? We can't, there is just no way that we are 100% logical, right? It just doesn't cut the mustard. All right, now from March 7th to the 12th, we jump back down here into the solar plexus. We're back into the emotional side of things at the gate of grace, the gate 22. And the theme here is about emotional refinement, beauty, and inner poise, right? This is the gate called grace where we really tap into our emotional field and we prepare a response rather than just reacting with knee jerk uh, um, actions or words. So, the gate 22 is the energy of grace under pressure. It teaches us how to navigate through emotional turbulence with elegance and with ease, right? Being graceful, if you will. And it reminds us that true power comes from emotional mastery, not reactionary responses. So this whole theme in this gate from for that week will be about emotional response, which means that likely we could be triggered by things and circumstances that are going on around us that might cause us to become more reactionary than responsive. So we'll have to, you know, take that on as a challenge for that week. And as well, feeling misunderstood or struggling with emotional highs and lows. This gate and its connection to the gate 12 up here at the throat center, if you happen to have the gate 12, which I do, will create, emotional highs and lows, right? Like moving to the high and then dropping down into the low. So that might mean time for the plateau if you're a generator type, where you are moving through a time of inaction, which can become frustrating. So we are in this week learning to express our emotions with grace instead of suppressing them or outburst energies, right? We don't want to blurp out there, but we also don't want to suppress what we're feeling. So, the impact of this one is about cultivating emotional intelligence. And literally, people, this is the whole job of the solar plexus and the solar plexus evolution and mutation that we are going through here within the next couple of years. So choose responses that align with your highest self and then find beauty in the small moments, right? The little things. Appreciation brings more grace into your life. So if you can just appreciate and have gratitude, and that will help the grace establish itself in the face of emotional challenges that might be out there. Now, from March 13th to the 18th, the sun will move over to the gate 36. And in the gate 36, which is called exploration, I got to check something because I believe we already have Neptune sitting there. Let's see where Saturn is too, because Saturn is in the gate 22. So let's finish up here with the 22 for a second. We also have Saturn sitting at this gate. So the Sun and Saturn will meet in their conjunction at the gate 22, establishing a structure perhaps that will support emotional intelligence and emotional responses versus emotional reaction. And that could look like a very spiritual way of behavior. So, meditation, deep breath work before you actually leap into something, an argument or a conflict, or say something that you might regret. So, Saturn and the Sun both at the 22. And Neptune has already moved away from the 36, thankfully. So we're safe there. But now the Sun will March 13th through 18th will be sitting at the gate 36, the gate of exploration, which is a QHD or quantum human design term. In traditional human design, this is called the gate of crisis. And this gate is interesting because it has adventure as a part of its experience. It has experiences as a part of the energy of the gate, but it's also crisis energy, and it leads to emotional expansion. But sometimes it is a difficult energy for us to live through. So if we consider gate 36 kind of as the gate of the unknown, right? It pushes us to embrace new experiences and to embrace personal growth. And it's restless energy and it can crave change, and it can kind of crave or push us into movement and into deeper emotional experiences. And it can, we sometimes in human design call this like out of the frying pan and into the fire kind of energy, because it is craving that experiential thing, maybe from boredom, maybe from anxiety, or maybe just because it wants to see something new, right? The adventure of life. So the challenge in the gate 36 is going to be about fearing uncertainty and getting caught up, maybe in emotional chaos, not even maybe of your own, right? The collective emotional chaos or somebody else's, emotional chaos. And the gift here is about the courage to step into new territory, step into new experiences, and learn from every experience rather than getting jaded by the experiences and, taking on that air of been there, done that, don't need a new experience. Don't let that take over. Keep that spirit of adventure and, be an open heart to, or an open no, an open heart, let's call it that. An open heart to the experiences that come to you. And this energy being on the emotional center also goes through cycles of high and low. And it's, making this season of Pisces a very emotional kind of season where we need to take on awareness of our emotional energy. And then also the last gate, and it's literally only one day, March 19th, where the sun will sit here at the gate 25. I mean, it jumps from there to the soul center or the identity center. And the theme in the gate 25, albeit only for one day with the sun in Pisces, it'll stay in that gate, but it'll change to Aries energy, is about innocence and about divine trust and universal love. Right? It's a gate called the gate of spirit, and it's pure heart energy. It's about living in alignment with divine love and surrendering to a higher wisdom. And this gate teaches sort of a radical trust in life, no matter what challenges arise. It's difficult energy, I can tell you. And the challenge here is doubt and fear and resisting the unknown. So it carries some of that Pisces theme of that, needing to surrender and trust in a higher power or trust in our higher selves. And the gift here is about living in alignment with the energy of love and surrender and authenticity. And of course, it's only one day in Pisces energy before it shifts off to Aries energy. So it also offers in that the opportunity for a new beginning as everything will begin to shift toward that Aries 0 point in the month of March, later in the month of March. So the impact of this short time of Pisces at 25 will be about trusting your inner guidance and, taking the time for deep spiritual connection and then releasing attachment to outcomes, right? Let it go. It's not in your purview. Um, your job is to keep aligning emotionally with what it is you desire, and the outcome is not in your purview. So your path is unfolding perfectly as it should, as it was designed by you and your higher self or your soul, before you ever came to this planet. So, final thoughts on navigating the Pisces human design gates before we go on to the next thing. I'm going to stop sharing. Then I can take a look at questions as well. There we go. So, the gate 30 passion, it's past time for this now, but maybe you can do some, you know, uh, meditation on this energy about honoring your emotional desires. What is really most important to you from a passion point of view? The gate 55, trusting in the flow of abundance, that you're never being, that lack and scarcity might be a part of your experience, but it isn't based on your worth. It's based on what it is that you're attracting, how you are aligning with the emotional energy. The 37 is the gate of peace, and it creates harmony in our relationships, or at least that's its higher purpose. The gate 63, gate of curiosity, seek wisdom beyond the surface level thinking. Go deeper than just the surface. Gate 22, cultivate emotional intelligence. 36, embrace adventure and new experiences. And then gate 25, trusting in divine timing and surrendering to that process. So that is distinctly Piscean, isn't it? That whole thing about Pisces is about surrendering to life's flow and staying open to the deep emotional and spiritual transformational energies that are available to us during this period of time. All right. How are you guys all doing out there? Let's see. I got to Kamal and Patty. Moon666 stopped by to say hi. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us. And you have a great day as well. Christine Buckingham, good morning. Mary Ann, good morning. Nancy Ross, hello. Joan Durchie, happy Friday to you as well. Hello, Londa. It's so good to have you with us this morning. Asa, good to see you too. Tom says hello to everybody. And Luis Gomez, good morning to you. Kelly Blau. So this was because of Mars energy that I couldn't get myself going on artistic projects. Am I looking to cast blame on something outside of myself? Right? It's not really, it shouldn't really be about blame, right? It's about trusting in the natural flow of the energy. Mars in retrograde gave us or gives us access to a lot of energy around reimagination and being able to rethink the actions that we want to take or rethink about the projects that we wanted to take action on. And while it can be very frustrating, and I know because, I'm experiencing it along with all of you, it has a certain grace with it, right? That stops you from leaping into something too soon. Or if you did leap into something too soon, maybe it gave you the opportunity to re-establish a pattern of peace in that process that you jumped into, or an opportunity to reevaluate what you're doing and jump out of it if necessary. Okay, so it wasn't, it's not that you were being held back, but there's just something about the energy that wasn't quite finished yet that you could proceed in forward motion. But of course that's changing. So I wanted to go back to the solar plexus center for a minute and kind of close that up because I asked the question this morning of myself, well, why are there so many? I always ask the question too, like, Gemini and Taurus and Cancer energies. Gemini and Taurus gates are all throat gates. Some Leo gates are throat gates. And I asked the question, well, why are all those gates up there activated by those signs? So I asked the same question about Pisces. Why are all of the solar plexus or most of the solar plexus gates activated by Piscean energy? Well, when you look at what the solar plexus energy is about, it's a center for emotions, of course, but it's also intuition. But the intuition is a little different here in the solar plexus because it's about what we feel, right? That feelings are kind of like an inner barometer about, helping us to determine if we're moving in the right direction or not. So if we're moving towards something and it doesn't feel right or feel good, we have to be able to trust that maybe there's something not right about that action yet or about that relationship yet. And it is cautionary. It gives us the time to wait it out a little bit. And this is a center for emotional processing as well. And it is also a motor center and it generates energy in waves that are high and coming down into the low and into the high. And so it is also highly creative energy. So it's energy that moves in cycles from the highs to the lows. And most of the Pisces human design gates that sit here make this a season of emotional awareness. And the solar plexus system or center is the seat of emotional wisdom, right? And we need this. We need this energy. And because the center governs how we feel and processing of emotions and our creative energy and how we navigate emotionally through relationships, what we're being asked to do during this period of time is to trust, right? And to really, go with the flow of what is happening in our lives rather than going against it or trying to force or push things to happen. And yes, the solar plexus is tied to an intuition and creativity and the ability to wait for emotional clarity before we make a decision, before we leap, right? And For those of you who have a defined emotional center, this is also something that you've been working on consistently already in your life. If you are someone with an open emotional solar plexus by birth, then this might feel very difficult for you, as all of these emotions might be bombarding you during this period of time. And because the open solar plexus is really conditioned to almost feel other people's feelings, and you may find yourself, being more reactive or trying to keep the peace or keep the level of energy down, people pleasing maybe, or saying yes to things to make other people happy instead of making yourself happy. So we all are going to have to work through this energy during this period of time, but it might affect you differently based on your own human design makeup. And when it's defined, you have this consistent emotional wave. So you're used to that, right? And you need time to process before making clear decisions. Hopefully, you've had a human design reading and I've noted that for you, or someone else that you had a reading with noted that for you. So you're waiting for clarity before leaping into decisions. And if it's undefined or open, it would be white in your human design center, you're absorbing those emotionals or emotions from other people. And that makes boundaries and emotional discernment essential for you for this particular month in going through Pisces season. So many of its gates, many of the Piscean gates of the solar plexus carry lessons of emotional mastery and surrender and deep trust in life's unfolding. So those are the themes that'll likely come up time and again from now until Zero Aries Day, or March 20th of March 20th, spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. Okay. So, any questions out there? No, nobody else is saying any questions. I like that. So let's go on to um, the question of how is it that doubt, the gate 63, which is up in the head center, how does that fit into Pisces season? Because I asked that question, right? That's a gate of that we think of as logic, of thinking, of asking questions, and so forth. It feels kind of like an outlier energy for this Pisces season, because it sits in the head and not on the solar plexus, right? There's nothing emotional up there that would fit, it seems, with the Pisces energy. So, how does it fit? So, here we have an energy that is requesting our balancing of logic and faith, because the gate 63 asks the question, can you hold questions without demanding immediate answers? Right? Because there's the quest there, the why. It's usually why that the gate 63 is asking. And maybe doubt is a path to wisdom in this case. Pisces teaches surrender, and while gate 63 challenges blind faith, if you will, it pushes us to refine our beliefs and to balance our beliefs through questioning, asking questions. Why do I believe this way? Or maybe what more is possible if I, change my thinking or change my feeling? And the 63 fits into Pisces because, there are the two fishes that are swimming in Pisces energy. And we could think of that as one of the fishes handling the mental cycle while the other one is handling the emotional cycle. And, while many of the Pisces gates create emotional waves, the gate 63 actually in the head center is creating mental waves of uncertainty or overthinking and questioning reality. And it really asks us to step up our gift of discernment, right? So it's healthy doubt that prevents deception or falling into illusion, or wishful thinking, all of which are shadow aspects of Pisces. So 63 prompts almost the shadow aspect of our mind that seeks to gain control over thinking, right? Um, and there's the highs and lows in this particular energy. Like all of the gates, they have the high expression and the low expression, right? And how do we, bring those into balance? So the shadow side of the gate 63 is about overthinking and mental paralysis, right? Getting in that loop of questioning and doubting, and or seeking to get endless questions answered, which that tells you that you're having an experience of a lack of trust, right? Not surrendering, doubting your intuition or doubting spiritual message, wanting more proof that what you're intuiting or hearing or sensing is real instead of just trusting your inner knowing, right? Leaning heavily into the logic as opposed to leaning into a balance of logic and emotion and intuition. Fixating on the past. That's an odd one, but there is that. Pisces does bring us that sort of fixation on the traditions and on the past energies, kind of the blame and shame and guilt tripping of the mistakes of the past, etc. So the gate 63 being the outlier here might be about how it is that we've brought our thinking processes into trying to seek answers to questions that we can't find answers for, that there are no answers for. It just is or just was, right? It's in the past. But there is a gift and a higher expression in the gate 63, and that is about turning doubt into a tool for growth. Really learning to ask powerful yet expansive questions, right? Not the demeaning questions like, why does this always happen to me? Right? That's a useless question. You might reframe it and say, I notice this is a pattern that's repeated in the past. What does this mean for me? Right? What's the meaning of this? Um, and understand that not everything has a logical answer. It's sort of learning to hold the paradox, this Pisces paradox of the swimming fish, right? One in the subconscious, other in the conscious. And consider using intuition with discernment, not rejecting logic, right? That's not that, that's going too far to the other side, but blending logic and um, the idea of trusting your higher self, trusting in the divine, and allowing that to work, allowing logic to work alongside of intuition and intuition to work alongside of logic. They're both necessary, right? So you don't have to resolve every question, by the way, especially not immediately. Some answers are only revealed when you stop searching for them. Have you ever noticed that? Right? The minute you stop thinking about it anymore, then boom, the answer is there. Um, bring the necessary balance of mind and heart or soul and emotion to this particular season. And your mind may still question while your heart is feeling, but both perspectives are valuable, right? So that outlier gate 63 is, you know, it's like the balancing piece to all of the emotional energy. All right. Ba-da-ba-dum. Luis Gomez, it's emotional intelligence. That's very true. I think of it, like we talk about, mental intelligence as an IQ. I think of emotional intelligence as an EQ, right? How willing and able are we to use emotional energy intelligently? Gate 63, that is in Pisces. That's definitely in Pisces. Genie vibes, a 3-5 mental projector, design 63 in Earth. So, there is a side of you, Genie vibes, that really is mastering the idea of logic or the mind, if you will, along with the idea of emotional energy and knowingness. I think the mental projectors, especially, are so gifted in knowing intuition or knowing what they know, but without really knowing how they know what they know. But if the gate 63 is part of that process, then it could bring doubt into the picture, doubting that you know what you know or doubting your intuition. And that would be a big lesson for you to learn how to balance that. And the 3-5, of course, is very much about experiencing a lot of trial and error and ups and downs and projections upon you in this life. So it's a very dramatic kind of energy that you have with you. And so I would say that you're really learning how to use emotional energy in the most positive and highest way possible. And I don't want to say that's easy because it's not necessarily easy, but it is the lesson. It's probably the biggest lesson that you're here to learn and master in this lifetime. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's move on to Mars, shall we? Mars stations direct in Cancer. on Sunday, the 25th, 23rd, excuse me, of this month. And it is the action planet. It is the planet of assertiveness. And he has been in retrograde since December 6th. And that means he has been slowing down movement, stirring up emotional frustrations, and forcing us to really reassess how we take action, when we take action, and what actions we take. And especially in areas related to home or security, emotions, personal boundaries, and by opposition, because Cancer is where he is turning direct, Capricorn issues, which might be about your work, about your inner authority, about your authenticity, about your reputation in the world. So we have, we're fielding energies that are ready to. We've been in this reconsideration mode, right? We've been in this inner and introspective mode since December, and maybe even a little before that as he was in the shadow period. But now things will begin to shift more focused outward, right? So the things that you've been considering inwardly now move to the outward world and can feel, you know, better to us in this planet where we feel like production and doing things is of primary importance, right? But when a planet shifts from retrograde to direct or from direct to retrograde, there's this restlessness that happens as we have to begin to feel the energy of that planet in a different way within each one of us. So we may have still a couple of days or weeks even of restlessness, of indecision, maybe even about what it is that we're supposed to do. But the momentum that Mars will begin to pick up will help us to see the right direction to move in. And of course, because he's in Cancer, a sign that is not particularly favorable to Mars, um, it gives us this opportunity to get emotionally clear. Here we go, emotional energy, right? To get clear about our passions and what it is, what direction we want to move in, and how does it feel to us? Asking questions like, does this feel good? Does this feel right? Does this feel true for me? Right? So, a lot of different questions can be asked now and especially after Sunday about what next steps to take. So, what has Mars in Cancer been teaching us in his retrograde? Well, of course, he's been delaying our action, which forces us to slow down and reflect before we make any big changes or big moves in our lives. And likely, maybe brought up some emotional wounds tied to home or family or your security, maybe creative passive aggressiveness in yourself or experiencing it through others, maybe difficulty in asserting your needs directly. Right? Maybe like the Cancer crab, you're kind of coming around sideways through things, experiencing action in a completely different way, perhaps for yourself than what you've usually or normally experienced. This could have triggered um, I guess I'll call it emotional burnout or fatigue in some way. So if you've been feeling tired or dragging, likely, Mars in retrograde has been a part of that experience. Maybe making your motivation inconsistent, right? Where today I want to go, tomorrow I'm like, no, go, no. So hopefully that will shift as well. And I'm guessing that we've also been questioning whether we are taking action from a place of emotion or true inner drive. Like, are we being triggered to move into something that isn't correct for us? Or are we really truly moving from the inner drive that we have to get where we want to go? With Mars moving forward now, we're ready to act, but with new awareness, right? This isn't taking the old awareness. This is what have I learned in these past 11 weeks or so, or 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever it's been, while Mars has been in this retrograde. So, what do we expect now that Mars is moving forward? It's a very good question because we may feel more motivation returning. Maybe you're ready to make a decision, or maybe you're ready to act with purpose. The energy appears to open up, the pathway opens up before us. Maybe even through the idea of clarity. Cancer is an emotional sign. So, we are still dealing with emotions, with water. And maybe our emotional consideration over the past several weeks has given us a way forward, right? The pathway forward. Maybe we have less hesitation, but maybe we have more sensitivity having been in this experience. We're more sensitive to the emotional energy. And, Cancer itself is not an impulsive warrior kind of sign. It moves cautiously and with more emotional intelligence. So maybe Mars is being treated to new lessons around that. And wherever it is in your chart is where that is being translated over to you. So Mars in Cancer still wants to act emotionally, which means anger and frustration. So maybe what lessons that you might have to learn are about the emotional energy that maybe you've been suppressing, that when Mars turns to forward motion, then wants to be expressed. And what is the wisest way to express emotional energy, right? Is it in confrontation and conflict, or can we do that through emotional response, responding, right? Not without reacting. So, learning how to balance instinct and emotional wisdom is still key to our success in this particular season. So, how do we work with Mars in Cancer? And remember, he's retrograde in Cancer, but he's going to move forward through Cancer, the same key areas he's been in your chart for the last several weeks. And then he'll move back into Leo, where he started his retrograde at 6 Leo. So we have like dual expression. So I'm going to kind of go through that now. So you understand. Now look at your astrology chart to see where this particular energy is popping up. So, one of the lessons, the key lessons, is about trusting your intuition when making decisions, but also your emotions. Your gut knows what's right, right? Assert your needs with emotional clarity, but also not passive aggressively. Mars and Cancer's, real like Achilles heel is passive aggression, and if that just doesn't get things done, right? So Mars stationing direct restores our forward momentum, but in a way that is emotionally intelligent, right? Also intuitive and also somewhat protective. Cancer is a sign of protection. And it isn't about charging ahead recklessly. Just don't do that, right? It's about taking action in ways that feel safe or that feel aligned and nourishing to you. And that's going to be different, from person to person. And if delays or frustration has been present in your retrograde period of Mars, then trust that movement is coming. And yet do that, trust that, but with a renewed sense of purpose, right? That's part of this whole Mars retrograde is restoring our purpose. What is our true purpose? All right. So next, find Cancer in your astrology chart. So Cancer is, well, let's see, I'll highlight this out for everybody. That is not a highlighter. Here we go. This is the sign of Cancer. And here's Mars, right? So Cancer, and if find that symbol in your chart, and then find the pie slice of the chart and the number up here in the top in the center. That will tell you the house number it's in, right? The area of your life that Mars action will be restored in. All right. So that helps you to identify in your own personal chart. Now, and find Leo too. Find Leo the next sign over, because again, you're going to spend some time with Mars moving through Leo. So Leo is the sign to the right of Cancer. Find the house area for that one as well so you can sort of follow along here. So if Cancer rules your first house, the first house is at the ascendant, right? And that means Leo rules your second house, right? So you'll have Cancer and Leo in the first and the second house. You've been rethinking your personal goals and confidence and even your physical energy and how you wanted to put that out into the world. And now you're ready to move forward with a clearer sense of self, right? That's a big deal. And as Mars moves into Leo, then it's taking that new consciousness of self and adding self worth to it. And maybe your finances even get a boost, or this whole idea of the confidence that you have in yourself. And it's time to take, maybe some financial risks, step outside of your comfort zone a bit and demand what you're worth in the marketplace, if you will. So take action, show up confidently, and your presence is more magnetic now. So that is Cancer and moving into Leo. So we're taking both, okay? If Cancer is on your second house, and that would put Leo on your third house, you have a Mars direct going from the second to the third. So financial concerns or making money making efforts in your life have been slow or maybe unclear over the past 8 to 9 weeks. And during the Mars retrograde, right? So it slowed that down somehow. Now you're ready to take more assertive action in earning or in saving or in spending, right? All three of those areas. And as Mars moves into Leo for you, your words and ideas will carry more power. It's moving into the third house of communication. And it's good for business deals, good for writing, good trade, or public speaking. Okay. The action would be standing up for what you're worth and asking for that raise or setting the financial boundary that's required and promoting your ideas. All right. If Cancer rules your third house, and then Leo rules your fourth house, right? They are side by side. This would be about mindset and home life. So you've likely been rethinking communication and learning or how you express your emotions or even how you express yourself out in the world. Now, perhaps you'll find clarity in decision making and maybe conversations that need to be had with the people in your life. And then as Mars swings out of Cancer and into Leo, your home and family life may become more action oriented, potentially involving relocation or remodeling of a home or renovations of a home, maybe family dynamics becoming more activated. So the action steps for you would be about speaking up or writing and getting clear on where you stand. Your words have impact now. So understanding that. If Cancer rules your fourth house and that puts Leo on the fifth house, then it's all about home and creativity. So, home and emotional security maybe have felt uncertain or frustrating over the last several weeks. And now that things are moving forward in family matters or in real estate or in emotional healing, you feel a little more confident in moving, ahead in those areas. Now, when Mars enters Leo, then it enters into your house of creativity and romance and playfulness, and all of that kind of energy will take center stage. So that's a boost, if you will, to the playful part of the chart. So taking action for you would be about resolving home or family concerns so that you can enjoy the more creative and fun loving, joyful pursuits of Mars when he moves into your Leo fifth house. All right. Now, if Cancer rules your fifth house, or if Cancer's sitting on your fifth house, that means Leo is on your sixth house. And this is about love, creativity, and your work life balance, right? Your work home life balance. So maybe romantic, creative, or parenting concerns may have felt stalled, like you've been dealing with these family issues for a while. Now you're ready to express yourself fully within those circumstances, whether it's in love or art, genie vibes, you might like that one, or in personal passion, right? Time to get moving forward there. And when Mars moves into Leo, it'll focus the shift will focus your energy on the health well-being part of your chart, the daily routines and the work habits and your work productivity. So putting that creativity to work, right? So lean into the joyfulness of your creativity, find fun and romance and play, and bring that new energy into your well being, into the life, into your work environment. Now, if Cancer rules your sixth house, and that puts Leo at your seventh house, this would be about work and health, but also your relationships. So, work, wellness, or routines just may have felt slow or chaotic or uninspiring. Maybe you just felt like, meh, I don't want to do anything. Now, maybe you can regain some motivation that Mars is moving forward, maybe motivating your health or work projects or your daily responsibilities, changing up those routines and rhythms. And then when Mars moves into Leo, it focuses on partnerships and relationships. They'll demand attention at that time, contracts and agreements and things like that. Maybe expect some bold moves in love or business and as it relates to the partnershiping of those things, the relationship part of those things. So the action step for you would be to get disciplined in your health and work before relationship things heat up, right? Because you want to be available to focus on the energy of your relationships. Now, if Cancer is on your seventh house, and that means Leo is on your eighth house, now we're taking in relationships and transformation energy, right? Eighth house is about transformation. And relationships, contracts, and partnerships may have been unclear or stalled or not satisfying during this Mars retrograde. Now now maybe you know where you stand in your one-to-one connections. And when Mars moves into Leo, the intensity of intimacy and merging energies rises. Finances also get better, and maybe major life changes become more possible during this period of time. So take action by strengthening your healthy relationships and letting go of any of the connections that drain you. Okay. And I'm going to stay on air even though I know it's 9. I'm going to stay here until I get through these for you. Okay. If Cancer rules your eighth house, that puts Leo on the ninth house. And now we have deep transformation linked to expansion. So now your emotional and financial transformation maybe has been really slow and heavy feeling like the weight has been on you. Now you can start making empowered choices about how to handle your shared resources or your investments and how you merge your energy with others, right? You're coming together with other people. And then when Mars comes into Leo, your desire for new experiences gets a boost, and travel and knowledge grows, and your connection to your philosophy and your beliefs and your higher self increases. So the take action for you would be about clearing your emotional or your financial clutter, right? Get that squared away, and then launch into a bold new adventure, right? It's almost like you had a little bit of cleanup to do in order to move forward. Now, if Cancer is on your ninth house, that puts Leo on your 10th house. So the 10th house now added to the bunch. So we have travel, learning, and then career growth, right? Those are the sub energies. And while Mars has been retrograde here for you, you might have felt that your vision for your future was unclear. Like, I don't know where I'm going or what to do or who I am, even maybe was a question. Now, as Mars moves forward, it'll be time to take action on the education you might need to move forward or any legal matters. The ninth house also rules legal matters. Travel, long-term plans that you have are now, looking like we can take more action on it. And then when Mars enters the 10th house for you, the focus moves to career and public reputation. It all takes center stage, right? Your career is the big deal there. It might be time to make, big, bold moves in your career at that point. So the action step for you might be to set big goals. What you start now will grow into something significant over time. Now, if Cancer is on your 10th house, that would put Leo on your 11th house, right? So the 10th house Cancer would be a focus on career, and the 11th house would be Leo, social influences, like your connections to groups and so forth. So for you, career progress may have been slow or uncertain or even coming to a standstill. Now, with Mars moving forward, you might be able to take some strategic action towards your long term plans and goals that maybe wasn't available to you while he was. Mars moves out of that 10th house and into your 11th house, your social circles, your network. Media and all of that will begin to expand, right? Your connection to people, your community orientation can expand. So for you, the take action would be making career decisions with confidence, and your leadership energy is rising and moving out into the collective sphere, right? Where it can be, more impactful in community or in groups and so forth. Now, if Cancer is on your 11th house, And Leo then is ruling the 12th house. This is focusing on the friendships and community issues and then moving toward inner growth. And your connection to social circles or friendships and so forth, community work may have been stalled, may have been messy, or even unclear, like what is my role in this group or what have you. Now you'll feel more confident in stepping into new connections or in working through with your group dynamics and group projects. When Mars moves into Leo, that'll put it in your 12th house. Now it turns into inner reflection and spiritual work becomes more important. Right now you've got this real introspective piece going on. So the action here would be about strengthening your key friendships, your key networks before taking some personal time to do the deep spiritual work, maybe having to process through emotional turmoil, etc. Now, if you have had Cancer on your 12th house, Leo rules your first house. And the inner healing that cancer 12th house now leads to personal power and expression of the self in the first house. So your energy has been really inward focused during this period of time, making external action feel very gummy or slow, even difficult, right? Because you've been in this inner reflection. But now you're ready to bring what you've been processing in your inner world into real world action. And when Mars moves into Leo, then taking that introspection energy into that first house, this is about personal empowerment now. And self-leadership takes center stage for you. So the action for you, if you have this setup, is finish your inner healing work during these next few days and then step boldly into the world, right? Refreshed, renewed, and maybe with a new personality characteristic or a new hairdo, even, right? The first house rules our personality, but also how we look. All right. So the key here for everybody, no matter what, your setting was here that we talked about, is that action will be restored, but it does take some time to get moving, and moving forward will, by degrees, as Mars will sit at that same degree for a little bit before he starts to really move forward. So it may feel like you're just getting this, like a train when it starts to get its energy moving, right? Or an airplane as it starts to get its, traction before it can take off. It may feel like that for a little while longer, but all in all, things are moving forward. All right. That is it for me today. And I'm sorry, there's probably a ton of questions out here. I will go through the questions. Well, most of you look like you're on YouTube, and I don't get to see those very often. So I may go back to that this weekend and answer any questions that I see out there. Thank you all for joining me this morning. On Monday, I will be here and we will be taking up the gate 53 called Starting Things or New Beginnings that Mars retrograde changing to Mars direct is standing at. So we'll take a deeper dive into that and look ahead at the week's energy. Upcoming new moon, too. All right, guys, take care. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.